Zhiyun has released the Weebill 2, so this upgrade from the Weebill S features a plethora of improvements. These are not limited to solely performance improvements either. There's a better focus on the ergonomics with your grip, as well as single-handed usage between the button arrangements, as well as the introduced touchscreen with this unit. I'm James Hertz from MUO, and we're going to talk about how the Weebill 2 can offer you improved stabilization and overall fuller camera experience. Let's talk about the Weebill 2 design. It features a mix of old familiar elements as well as some newer ones, but we're going to talk about those familiar elements first. It still has the 2-in-1 quick release system, so if you're familiar with Zhiyun's products, this allows you to quickly remove your camera at any time. Simply release this safety latch and push in this base latch and you can remove your camera really quickly. It still has 3 axes, so you have the pan, tilt, and roll. And what I really like is Zhiyun has labeled all of these. So if you're a newcomer trying to figure out which one is called which, and you're trying to figure out how to balance it for the first time, it's a lot more user-friendly. They've also updated each of their axes locks with a smaller button, which is one of the things I'm not really thrilled about. They're smaller, and if you're reaching by feel, it can feel a little awkward to do when you're unlocking each of the axes. Now, you do get a little more used to it over time, but it's not really my favorite addition. I did like the on and off switch lever style, but again, it's a small change in the grand scheme of things. Now, while I wasn't a fan of the actual design update to the axes locks, one thing I do want to applaud is when you do have every single axis locked, there is really barely any jitter at all. So if you are transferring this unit and you want to keep it safe and you want to protect your camera, the stability that they have with each of these latches make it really, really stable. Now, when Zhiyun updates a product, one of the things they really focus on with gimbals is often button placement. And with the Weebill 2, this is no exception. With the original Weebill S, you did have the buttons wrapping around, whereas with the Weebill 2, it's all focused in one area. So you have your control stick here, your power button, your LED indicator here, a record button, a quick swap between the pan follow, lock, and follow settings, as well as your control wheel. This really helps with single-handed usage where you can simply lift the gimbal and reach for some of these like the joystick easily, as well as if you're shooting a shot, just easily access the control wheel to electronically adjust a setting or just adjust the roll of your axes. It's a really smooth update and I really do like it for this unit because you can really focus on what matters, which is the camera screen and what you're shooting. Now, another factor about the Weebill 2 ergonomic experience is the grip. With the Crane 2S, it had a carbon fiber handle, which during lawn sessions, it was harder to keep a grip. So while it was lightweight, it wasn't a comfortable experience for really long shoots. Now with the Weebill 2, we have a silicone grip here, which has some light rubbering in its feel, so you can have a really comfortable hold while holding the Weebill however you want for shooting. Similarly, the sling grip here has that same silicone, so no matter how you're holding your gimbal for your shot, you're going to have a comfortable, long-lasting experience where you have a good grip. Now let's talk a little about the integrated touchscreen on the Weebill 2. This retractable and flippable 2.88-inch full-color touchscreen lets you get a lot of information instantaneously as well as adjust settings on the fly. So if you're checking things like your battery life, your camera connectivity, or what mode you're in, or wanting to swap to a different mode or access advanced features like a motion lapse or a time lapse without the ZY Play app, this is all accessible from the touchscreen itself. If you need to adjust your smoothness or the motor strength of the gimbal, you can also do this as well. The fact that you really don't have to integrate much with the ZY Play app was a definite plus if you really want to focus on just your camera setup and the gimbal itself. Also, if you want to use the image transmission system, you will still have to purchase a separate transmitter, the transmitter AI from Zhiyun, to use the image transmission system on the touchscreen. But again, this is a completely optional accessory and is mostly for remote viewing, or if you want to capitalize on the Smart Follow 3.0 with this very large 2.88-inch touchscreen. Let's talk a little bit about the control wheel and the Weebill 2. Now, via the touchscreen, you can control exactly what the control wheel does. By default, it was on roll, so I was able to adjust the roll axis of my gimbal. Now, depending on what camera you have attached, you can also have it adjust the ISO, the aperture, the shutter, or the electronic focus of your camera. If you have the focus zoom control motor, then you can also adjust the focus or zoom as well. Now, in lieu of a lot of buttons on the Weebill 2, there's multi-functionality attached to single buttons on it. Now, on the trigger button, you can activate Smart Follow 3.0 if you have image transmission enabled via the Transmount Video Transmission Transmitter, the AI version to be exact. Now, you can also double tap it to reposition. If you triple tap it, you can have a selfie mode enabled, and if you press and hold it, you can easily access point of view mode. Now, for the record button, it also has a similar multi-press style activation scheme. So if you half press it, you can autofocus on certain cameras. If you tap it quickly, then you can start video. And if you press and hold it, you can quickly take a photo. Now, this is all pretty natural despite it seeming like a lot of information to absorb. And I think it really worked well to reduce the button layout of the Weebill 2. So let's talk a little bit about battery life and charging with the Weebill 2. At the very bottom, there is a Type-C charging port, which supports USB power delivery. So at peak conditions, you can hit 24 watts and 15 volts and charge this up to full in as little as 1.6 hours. In terms of actual operation, it reaches a maximum of 9 hours. Now, another thing is, because of the Type-C port at the bottom, you can take advantage of power banks or power stations to really extend battery life while operating with the Weebill. If you're doing something like a time lapse or motion lapse, this is a really useful feature. Let's revisit modes on the Weebill 2. So it features popular modes like pan follow, follow lock, go, vortex, as well as point of view mode. But on top of it, there is the portrait mode. Now, this addition is really nice since in the past with the Crane 2S, you had to take the quick release plate and put it in a vertical mounting slot. Now, with this being all automated and able to capitalize on the sling mode of the Weebill 2, you can take really easy footage for both Instagram Reels and TikTok. And overall, with all the modes on the Weebill 2, I want to compliment Zhiyun for making it really easy to understand. And all the instructionals, they've clearly explained the modes, and it's very easy to test them out via the touchscreen. So if you're new to a gimbal and you're wanting to see what kind of different shots you can get with the stabilizer, it's all very user-friendly. At this point, I want to talk a little about camera compatibility with the Weebill 2. For testing, I took the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II as well as the Sony a7R3. Both of these cameras have varying degrees of compatibility with some of the features of the Weebill 2, so before purchasing the Weebill 2, you do want to check Zhiyun's compatibility list. Now, in terms of actual use with each camera, there were a variety of things that I put to test. With the Olympus, I did both walking and running with its in-body image stabilization on and got really promising results. Now with the Sony Alpha R3, I wanted to take it hiking because one of the things I do like about the Weebill 2 and am interested about is it's a more compact, large camera gimbal, and its weight is manageable, plus the sling arm makes it pretty easy to carry in even rougher terrain. So I took it to a gorge nearby where we're at, so we experienced things like downhill, stairs, and even a suspension bridge. Overall, the performance with stability was really great with the Weebill 2, and I really don't have any complaints about it. Its weight and compact fold-up nature make it really easy to take with you. So let's talk a little bit about the accessories and what bundles they come in for the Weebill 2 upon purchase. So the standard Weebill package has just a Weebill and its tripod. For testing, Zhiyun sent the combo package, which features not only the Weebill 2 and its tripod, but this carrying case as well as the sling grip handle. Now if you go up another tier, there is the Pro tier, which has the Transmount video transmitter as well as the control motor. If you go up to the Pro Plus tier, there is the Master Eye with the VC100, so you can have good quality remote viewing and image transmission. Now, in terms of the package that I got, I was very pleased with the carrying case. It has a lot of space, it has a really nice build to it, and it's really easy to pack up the compact Weebill when you're on the go. The sling grip handle is also really nice because I really do like utilizing the tripod and it in tandem when shooting. Now, before purchasing the Weebill 2, let's look at reasons why you might. Now, the updated Infineon chip and algorithm really allow for stable footage, so if you have those micro jitters, the Weebill 2 can adjust appropriately. Also, it does benefit a variety of skill levels, so if you're a new user just learning the labeled axes as well as the really ergonomic feel of the grip as well as the button layout all in one designated place alongside the touchscreen make for a very accessible entry point. If you're a more advanced user, you can both capitalize on this touchscreen as well as adapt your camera kit with the various accessories for the Weebill 2. So if something like image transmission is something you're after, you can totally update in the future. So when it really comes down to the bottom line, where you should purchase the Weebill 2 depends a lot on how serious you are, how really stable you need to get your footage, and whether you're able to pay the cost. It's a little pricey as a bigger camera gimbal might be, but it really does deliver in terms of performance. A big thanks to Zhiyun for providing the Weebill 2 testing it. If you would, like and subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments and questions below. Now, if you would like some more information, be sure to read our written review at makeuseof.com, and a big thanks as always for watching.